It was the third year of my secret marriage to Ava Thorne, the year she won her Oscar. At the after-party, she and her rumored boyfriend, Julian Vance, stood under the glare of the flashbulbs, a golden couple, a perfect match made in Hollywood heaven. And I, her actual husband, could only watch from a corner, a ghost she kept hidden in the shadows. Later, for the sake of her career, she got rid of our child. That was the day my heart finally died. I signed the divorce papers. 5 years later, she showed up in front of me again. Today was our third wedding anniversary. I left my home studio early and went to the market, picking up fresh lobster and the scallops Ava loved. I spent the afternoon cooking, preparing a table full of her favorite dishes. I opened a bottle of Cabernet she'd been saving for a special occasion and lit the scented candle she liked. I sat at the dining table from 7 o'clock until 10. The food on the table had long gone cold. My phone screen lit up, pushing a notification for Variety. Newly crowned Best Actress Ava Thorne dines with A-list producer Julian Vance. Our wedding bell's next. In the photo, Ava was wearing a glittering, starlit gown I'd never seen before, her smile radiant. Across from her, Julian Vance was looking at her with undisguised adoration, personally fastening a brilliant diamond necklace around her neck. The jewelry brand's official account immediately commented, confirming it was from their new premiere collection, The One. The comments section exploded. OMG, Ava and Julian are so real. I've been shipping them for 3 years. Someone get them to a chapel, stat. Just get married already. The way Ava looks at Julian. Seriously, the love is just pouring out of the screen. I stared at the picture, a heavy stone settling in my chest, making it hard to breathe. My phone buzzed. A text from Ava. Hey, something last minute came up, couldn't get out of it. We'll be late. Go ahead and eat without me. Don't wait up. I didn't reply. I turned off my phone, and one by one, I scraped the meticulously prepared dishes into the trash can. I downed the entire bottle of wine myself, the sharp liquid burning my throat, but failing to drown out the bitterness in my heart. At 3 in the morning, I heard the electronic chirp of the front door lock. Ava was home. She carried the heavy scent of alcohol and a faint, foreign trace of men's cologne. It wasn't a scent I recognized. Why are you still up? She seemed surprised to see me, sitting in the dark living room. Waiting for you, I said, my voice hoarse. She kicked off her heels, walking toward me barefoot, her tone edged with impatience. I told you not to wait up. You know how insane my schedule is right now. I looked at her, my gaze falling on the glittering necklace at her throat. It's beautiful, I said. She touched it instinctively, a faint, unnatural blush coloring her cheeks. It's for Julian, a gift to celebrate the win. Right. My calm seemed to unnerve her. She sat down next to me, her voice softening for once. Leo, don't overthink it. Julian and I are just friends. And colleagues, obviously. I know. I lower my eyes. In the past 3 years, I had heard that line at least 100 times. I'd gone from hysterical arguments to numb acceptance, and now, finally, to this dead calm. I was too tired to fight anymore. Oh, she said, as if just remembering something. She pulled a script out of her designer handbag. This is the script for my next film. Can you take a look? And maybe sketch out a demo for the theme song. She added, with a note of pride and entitlement. Julian specifically asked for you to write it. He said only your music is worthy of my movies. It was as if everything I did for her was simply my duty, a foregone conclusion. I took the script, but didn't open it. Ava, we need to talk. Talk about what? She frowned. I'm exhausted. Can it wait until tomorrow? No, now, I insisted. My resolve finally shattered her patience. Leo, what is your problem now? Are you seriously starting this again? 3 years ago, you asked me to quit my band, to give up my career and be the man behind the scenes. I agreed. You said for the sake of your career, we had to keep our marriage a secret. I agreed to that too. You said you and Julian were just a PR relationship, that it was all for show. I believed you. I looked at her, my voice low and steady. But I don't want to believe you anymore. My words were a needle, puncturing her carefully constructed composure. She shot to her feet, looking down at me. Leo, what are you saying? Are you trying to divorce me? I'm just tired. Tired, she scoffed. You sit at home writing songs and cooking. What could you possibly be tired of? Do you have any idea what I went through to win that Oscar? I do, I said, looking up at her. I know how many industry parties you had to suffer through, how many fake compliments you had to give. I also know how long you had to beg Julian for that role. You. Her face went pale. So, I stood up, meeting her gaze at eye level. Let's take a break. Give each other some space to cool down. I turned to walk to the bedroom, but she grabbed my wrist, her grip like iron. Her nails dug into my skin. Don't you dare, Leo. Her eyes were red, her voice trembling. You are not allowed to leave me without my permission. 2. The next morning, I woke up on the living room couch. A thin blanket was draped over me. Ava was already gone. A breakfast sandwich and a glass of milk sat on the dining table. A note was tucked underneath, written in her flamboyant script. Off to a photo shoot. Back tonight. Don't think crazy thoughts. I picked up the sandwich and took a bite. It tasted like cardboard. 3 years ago, I was the lead singer of a moderately famous rock band. My stage name was Zero. Our sound was unique, ahead of its time. We were on the verge of signing with a major label when Ava found me. Back then, she was a nobody, an actress who'd had a few minor roles in web series that went nowhere. She told me, crying, that she loved me, but her management forbade her from dating, let alone getting married. She begged me to give her 3 years. 3 years to establish herself, and then she would tell the whole world about us. I loved her. I was reckless with that love. I broke up the band, walking away from a promising career that was just about to take off. I became her man in the shadows, an invisible person who couldn't be seen in public. Every hit song that made her famous came from my hands. I managed her entire life, becoming her personal driver, chef, and assistant. And she, just as she'd wished, climbed her way to the very top. She just seemed to have forgotten the promise she made. My phone rang. It was my ex-bandmate, our drummer, Ben. Leo, man, did you watch the awards last night? I saw it. Ava, damn, she killed it, Ben said, his tone complicated. And that Julian Vance guy, for real, is there nothing going on there? I stayed silent. Ben sighed. Dude, honestly, you've sacrificed way too much for her. These past few years, you've barely even been yourself. Is she worth it? Is she worth it? I'd asked myself that question 1,000 times. The answer used to be yes. Now, I wasn't so sure. Let's not talk about it, I said, changing the subject. How are you doing? Same old, same old. Playing gigs at a bar in Austin. Just try to get by. Hey, there's a big music festival here next week. A lot of big names are coming. You should fly out, check it out. Nah, I said. I hadn't touched my guitar in a long time. My hands were used to the heat of pots and pans now, long having lost the passion to feel the strings. After hanging up, I opened my laptop and looked at the script Ava had given me. It was an indie drama about a female artist and her mentor/best friend, a decade-long saga of love and conflict. The male best friend character was practically a carbon copy of Julian. I closed the file, a wave of irritation washing over me. I opened Spotify, hoping for some inspiration. The top recommended track on the homepage was Ava's new single. It was the song I wrote last night. In just a few hours, it had already shot to #1 on the new release charts. In the comments, besides praising Ava's vocals, countless people were tagging Julian Vance. This song has to be about Julian, right? The lyrics are so sweet. You are the only light that illuminates my world. I'm dying. I shipped them so hard. I read the comments, the irony thick enough to choke on. I had written that song about when Ava and I first got together. Back then, she would grab my hand and we'd run down empty streets in the middle of the night. She'd look up at me with stars in her eyes while I played my guitar and say, Leo, you are my light. It turns out that all that love in the eyes of the world could just as easily be for someone else. The doorbell rang. I thought it was Ava, but when I opened the door, I saw someone I never expected. Julian Vance. He was dressed in a tailored casual suit, holding an expensive-looking fruit basket. Not going to invite me in? He asked with a smile that held a hint of assessment. 3. I stepped aside to let him in. This was the first time he had ever been to this house. The home Ava and I shared. He surveyed the decor as if he owned the place. Cozy, he remarked, his gaze finally landing on me. You must be Zero. I didn't answer. He didn't seem to mind, seating himself on the couch. I've heard your music. You're talented. A shame. A shame about what? I asked. A shame that all that talent is wasted on one person. He picked up the script from a coffee table and flipped through it. I'm financing this project. and I want you to write the theme song." "Why me?" "Because no one knows Ava better than you," he said, his eyes holding a deeper meaning. "And only a song written by you can push her to give her best performance." His words were a knife, twisting precisely in my heart. He was right. I knew her best. I knew when she needed comfort, when she needed encouragement. I knew what she loved, what she hated. I knew what every subtle shift in her expression meant. But lately, I had no idea if she still loved me. "Leo," Julian said suddenly, "you and Ava aren't a good match." My head snapped up to look at him. Ava needs a man who can pave her way, who can help her climb even higher in her career. He leaned back on the couch, his posture relaxed but radiating an undeniable pressure. "And you can't give her that. You can only hide behind her like a ghost in the attic." "A ghost?" I almost laughed. "Aren't you?" he countered. "Can you tell anyone you're Ava Thorne's husband? Can you stand in the sunlight and hold her hand?" I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. "You can't," he concluded, "so let her go. It's better for you and for her. This is between her and me." "It's none of your business," I said, my voice cold. "I'm just giving you a heads up." Julian stood, straightening his jacket. "Ava is starting pre-production soon. They're shooting abroad for 3 months this time. In Paris. I'll be there too. A lot can happen in 3 months." He left me with that meaningful smile and walked out. I stood there, frozen to the spot. That evening, Ava came home glowing, a smile playing on her lips. "Honey, I have amazing news." She hugged me from behind. "My new movie just secured a massive investment. The director wants to shoot on location in Paris." "Is that so? Congratulations." My tone was flat. She didn't seem to notice my mood, continuing excitedly. "And Julian is coming with us. He's seriously my guardian angel." "Yes, your guardian angel," I repeated, a tremor in my voice I couldn't control. "Leo, what's wrong?" She finally sensed something was off. I turned to face her. "Ava, have you ever thought about what you would do if, one day, I was just gone?" She froze. Then, as if I'd told the world's funniest joke, she laughed. "Don't be ridiculous. Why would you be gone?" She cupped my face in her hands and kissed me lightly. "You're my person, Leo. You're never leaving me. Not in this lifetime." Her tone was possessive, laced with an entitled dependency. And in that moment, my resolve wavered again. Maybe Julian was just trying to mess with my head. Maybe Ava, deep down, still had me in her heart. I tried to tell myself that, until the middle of the night, when I was woken by the ringing of a phone. Ava was on the balcony, her voice a hushed whisper. Driven by a terrible instinct, I walked toward the sound. "MHM, I know. Don't be mad. I'll talk to him tomorrow. Don't worry. He listens to me." Her voice was sweet, almost fawning, a tone I had never heard from her before. On the other end of the line, I could faintly make out a man's voice. It was Julian. "Once he finishes this song, he's useless. Yes, I'll handle it cleanly." I felt like I'd been struck by lightning, rooted to the spot. So, in her eyes, I was just a songwriting tool, to be used and then discarded. So, the love I thought was real was nothing more than an elaborate, calculated lie. In that instant, my heart died completely. 4. When Ava hung up and turned around, she jumped, startled to see me. "Yep. How long have you been standing there?" Her eyes darted around nervously. "Since you said, 'He listens to me,'" I replied, my gaze chillingly calm. Her face went white. She opened her mouth, trying to form an explanation. "Don't." I cut her off. "I don't want to hear it." I walked back into our bedroom, and from the very back of the nightstand drawer, I pulled out the document I had prepared long ago, the divorce papers. I signed my name, then I placed the document in front of her. "Sign it," I said. Ava stared at the words divorce agreement, as if they had burned her. She stumbled back a step. "No, I won't sign," she shrieked. "Leo, you're insane." "I'm not the one who's insane," I said, looking straight at her. "You are. For you, I gave up my dream, my friends, my entire life. For you, I traded my guitar for an apron, happy to be your shadow. I thought my sacrifice would earn your love, but I was wrong. Ava, your heart is made of stone." My words were like 1,000 tiny cuts, shredding her composure. She trembled, tears streaming down her face like a broken string of pearls. "That's not true." "Leo, please, let me explain. Julian and I, it's not what you think." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. Don't touch me. The thought of it repulsed me. My reaction was the final blow. She lunged forward and ripped the divorce papers to shreds. I told you, I'm not signing, she screamed hysterically. Leo, you can never, ever leave me. Then we'll just let it rot, I said, and slammed the door behind me. I wandered the streets all night, directionless. As the sun came up, I got a call. It was Ava's agent, Maria. Leo, you have to get to the hospital. Something's happened to Ava. Maria's voice was choked with tears. My mind went blank. When I arrived at the hospital, Ava was in the emergency room. Maria was pacing frantically outside. When she saw me, she grabbed my arm as if I were a lifeline. You're finally here? Ava, she fell down the stairs. How did that happen? I don't know. I called her this morning, and she didn't pick up, so I went to the house. I found her at the bottom of the staircase. There was so much blood. The light above the ER door went out. A doctor emerged. Who is the patient's family? I'm her husband. I stepped forward. The patient is out of immediate danger, but the doctor paused, his expression regretful. She was pregnant. The baby. We couldn't save it. Pregnant? A baby? I stood frozen, the world spinning around me. We had a child? I hadn't known. I hadn't known a thing. And now that tiny, unformed life was just gone. 5. I pushed open the door to her hospital room. Ava was lying on the bed, her face as white as the sheets. She looked at me, her eyes vacant, devoid of any light. The baby, she began, her voice a raw whisper. It was yours. I walked to her bedside, my eyes fixed on her flat stomach, a place that had, for a brief time, held a life that belonged to us. And I, the so-called father, had been completely oblivious to its existence. My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand, the pain so intense I could barely breathe. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. I was afraid it would affect your mood, that you wouldn't be able to write the song. She looked down, her long eyelashes casting shadows on her cheeks. What a pathetic excuse. She was afraid of affecting my songwriting, but not of jetting off to Paris with Julian. Ava, I looked at her, my voice as cold as ice. Do you think I'm that easy to fool? She flinched, her head snapping up to look at me. I'm not. Did you really fall down the stairs? I cut her off, pressing forward. Or was this just another one of your dramatic performances? To keep me from leaving, you were willing to get rid of your own child? My words were the sharpest of swords, piercing through her last layer of defense. Her face was ashen, her lips trembling, unable to form a single word. Her silence was the only answer I needed. I laughed, a bitter, broken laugh that brought tears to my eyes. What a fool I was. An absolute, complete fool. To think she had accidentally miscarried. To feel a pang of grief for a child she had personally destroyed. You win, Ava, I said, enunciating each word. You successfully made me feel nothing but disgust for you. I turned and walked away, not sparing her another glance. Leo, she cried out behind me, a desperate, broken sound. I didn't look back. I was afraid if I did, I might actually kill her. I left the hospital and deleted every trace of her from my life. I flew to Austin, where Ben lived. The city was in the middle of a massive music festival. I stood in the packed square, listening to the deafening roar of a rock band on stage. In that moment, for the first time in a long time, I felt alive. I found Ben. He was shocked when he saw me. Jesus, Leo, what the hell happened to you? I looked at my reflection in the bar mirror. Unshaven, dark circles under my eyes, a wreck. I'm getting a divorce, I said. Ben was quiet for a moment. Then he clapped me hard on the shoulder. Good. It's about damn time. A woman like that isn't worth it. He poured me a shot of the strongest whiskey they had. From today on, you're not the guy who orbits around some woman's life. You're zero. Welcome back, man. Welcome back. I raised a glass and threw it back. The liquor burned a path down to my stomach, but my heart felt lighter than it had in years. Yeah, I was back. Zero, the guy who would burn himself to the ground for his music, was back. 6. I crashed at Ben's place, sleeping on his couch. I slept during the day and wrote music at night. Sometimes I'd get on stage with his band and play a few of our old songs. I poured all my pain, my anger, and my regret into my music. My voice was raspier now, more weathered, but it told a story. Before long, I started making a name for myself in the local rock scene. People started calling me Zero. They didn't know my past. They just knew my music. It felt good. I thought I would never cross paths with Ava again. Until one day, an unexpected visitor walked into the bar. Maria, Ava's agent. She looked more haggard than the last time I'd seen her. Leo, come back with me, she said, getting straight to the point. Ava needs you. She needs a tool to write her songs, not me, I said, not looking up from polishing my guitar. That's not true, Maria insisted. She's not doing well. My hand stilled. After you left, she threw herself into work. Nonstop. Not eating, not sleeping. She collapsed on set a few days ago. The doctors say she has severe depression and an eating disorder. She won't listen to anyone. She just sits there all day, holding a picture of you two, and crying. Leo, I'm begging you. Just go see her. I'm afraid she's going to do something terrible. I was silent. Ben, standing nearby, couldn't take it anymore. Maria, you should go. Leo's not going back with you. We all saw how she treated him. Now that she's hit rock bottom, she suddenly remembers he exists? It's too late. Maria started to say something else, but I cut her off. Tell her to come see me. Maria stared at me, confused. Tell her to come here herself. I repeated. Maria left. Ben looked at me, worried. Dude, you're not going soft on her, are you? I smirked, but said nothing. Going soft? Not a chance. I just wanted to see with my own eyes what the high and mighty Oscar winner had become. I just wanted her to feel what it was like to be summoned at someone else's convenience. 3 days later, Ava came. She wore a large trench coat, sunglasses, and a face mask, completely concealing herself. Even so, I could see how much weight she'd lost. She looked like a strong gust of wind could knock her over. She took off her sunglasses, revealing eyes laced with red veins. She looked at me, her lips trembling, as if trying to speak. In the end, all that came out was a choked whisper. Leo, I sat on a bar stool, looking down at her. What do you want? My tone was detached, as if speaking to a stranger. Her body swayed, and she looked like she was about to collapse. She opened her mouth, and tears began to fall, silent and unstoppable. She was crying, soundlessly, but with a grief that seemed to tear her apart from the inside. Everyone in the bar turned to look at us. I frowned, my patience wearing thin. If you're going to cry, do it outside, I said. You're killing the mood. My words were like salt in an open wound. She looked at me in disbelief, as if she couldn't fathom that such cruel words could come from my mouth. Leo, she finally spoke, her voice shaking uncontrollably. Can we really not go back? Go back. I laughed, a cold, empty sound. Go back where? To that prison of lies and betrayal. Ava, in case you forgot, we're divorced. No, we're not, she suddenly cried, her voice rising. I never signed the papers. We're still married. Are we? I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out a folded piece of paper, and tossed it onto the bar in front of her. It was a court summons. In this state, after a year of separation, one party can file for divorce on the grounds of irreconcilable differences, I said, looking her dead in the eye. And by my count, our time is just about up. 7. Ava left. Or rather, she fled. She stared at the summons as if it were a monster, then covered her face and stumbled out of the bar. Ben walked over and handed me a cigarette. Man, that was badass. I took it, but didn't light it. I felt no satisfaction, no thrill of revenge. Just a vast, dead calm. The moment she chose to end that pregnancy, it was over between us. The ties were severed. The next few months were quiet. My music started gaining traction online. Record labels started calling, sending offers. I turned them all down. I had no desire to return to that superficial world. I just want to make my music in peace. Until one day, Ben ran up to me, shoving his phone in my face. Holy SHD. Leo, you have to see this. I took the phone. The screen was lit up with a breaking news headline from TMZ. Oscar winner Ava Thorne's secret marriage and abortion scandal. Ex-husband's revenge. The article laid out our entire history in excruciating detail. From me breaking up my band to our secret marriage and the songs I wrote for her. It even included a leaked copy of her medical records from the hospital. Attached were old photos of us, intimate and happy, and a picture of the divorce papers I had signed. The internet exploded. Ava's Twitter feed was a war zone. WTF? Ava Thorne was married. She got an abortion for her career? That woman is ice cold. My heart breaks for Zero. He gave up everything, and she treated him like a disposable tool. Hashtag cancel Ava Thorne. Get this monster out of Hollywood. In a matter of hours, Ava's pristine image was shattered. Endorsements were dropped. Movie deals were rescinded. She had fallen from the pinnacle of Hollywood, and the crash was brutal. I knew Julian was behind it. Only he had the power and the access to dig up so much private information so quickly. This was his way of destroying her completely. Ben was ecstatic. Serve her right. Karma's a BTCH. I looked at the vitriolic comments, the hateful messages, and felt nothing. My phone rang. An unknown number. I answered. The voice on the other end was unexpected. It was Julian. Leo, did you enjoy the parting gift I sent you? He asked, a triumphant smirk in his voice. Why? I asked. No reason. He chuckled. I just don't like it when other people touch my things. Even the things I've thrown away. Ava was nothing more than a pawn in my game from the very beginning. Now that the pawn is no longer useful, I figured I might as well get one last use out of her. You know, Leo, what I hate most about you is that self-righteous devotion of yours. You think your sacrifice was so noble. No, in my eyes, you're just pathetic. A pathetic fool who let a woman play him for years. His words were poisoned darts. But I should thank you, he said, his tone shifting. Thank you for writing all those hit songs. They made me a very, very rich man. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, Ava signed the copyrights for all those songs over to my production company a long time ago. So, even with her career in flames, I won't lose a dime. And you, he paused, his voice dripping with scorn, you get nothing. After he hung up, I slammed my fist into the wall. Blood trickled through my knuckles. I wasn't angry that he had stolen my copyrights. I was furious that I had wasted 3 years of my life on such a vile woman. That my love, my sincerity, had been so utterly and completely trampled on. 8. I started to fight back. I created a Twitter account under the name Zero. My first tweet was a video. In it, I was sitting in a dimly lit bar holding my guitar. I sang a song, a new one I'd never released. It was called The Marionette. You paint your face and take the stage, a desperate, dazzling show. You sell the lies they want to hear for the sound of their applause. You think you have the entire world held in your steady hand. But you're just a puppet on a string, a marionette of a man. My voice was raw, desolate, and full of pain. The video, with zero promotion, went viral overnight. It hit 100 million views. Countless people flooded my Twitter page. Holy hell, this voice is incredible. So much soul. These lyrics are 100% about Ava and Julian. Savage. Zero, you're finally back. We've waited so long for you. My follower count shot past 1 million in a single night. I became the internet's most mysterious indie musician. Then, I posted my second tweet, a copy of a lawsuit. I was suing Julian Vance for copyright infringement. Julian responded quickly. He released a statement claiming that Ava had gifted him the songs and that he held the legal rights. He hired a team of the best lawyers in the business, preparing for a nasty fight. The odds were stacked against me. Julian was an institution in the industry. I was just some musician who got lucky with a viral video. The day before the court date, I got a call. It was Ava. Her voice was weak. Leo, I'm so sorry. I'm the one who signed the rights over to him. I didn't know he would. Don't. I cut her off. I don't want to hear it. I have evidence, she said suddenly. I froze. I have a recording of him admitting you wrote the songs. Back then, I was afraid he'd double-cross me, so I recorded it secretly. Leo, I'll give you the recording. I just have one request. What is it? Let me go, she said, her voice pleading. And let yourself go, too. I was silent. I'm holding a press conference tomorrow, she continued. I'm going to tell them everything. I'll tell everyone that I was the one who wronged you, and I'm going to retire from acting. After that, we won't owe each other anything. After the call, I stood by the window, staring into the night sky for a long time. My mind was a mess of conflicting emotions. I never thought that in the end, she would be the one to help me. Maybe she wasn't completely irredeemable, but what did it matter? There was no going back for us. The next day, Ava held her press conference. She wore a simple white dress, no makeup. She looked exhausted, yet strangely calm. She faced the cameras and gave a deep bow. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all the fans who supported me. And I'm sorry to my husband, Leo. She took all the blame. She said she had deceived me, that she had sacrificed our child for her career, and that in her greed, she had given away my work. She cried as she apologized to me, to everyone she had hurt. Finally, she announced her permanent retirement from the entertainment industry. The press conference blew up the internet. The public narrative shifted completely. Julian Vance became public enemy number one. His company's stock plummeted. All of his partners and projects pulled out. The A-list producer became a pariah, and I became the biggest winner. I got back everything that was mine, my reputation, my copyrights, and a justice that was long overdue. 9. I won the lawsuit. Julian had to pay me a massive settlement. His production company went bankrupt. His career was over, and I became the hottest new thing in the music industry. Offers poured in from everywhere. Top record labels, hit TV shows, A-list superstars asking me to write for them. I signed with the biggest label in the country, not for the fame or the money, but so that my music could be heard by more people. I released my first solo album. It was called Rebirth. It was a collection of all the songs I had written over the past few years. It was about pain, struggle, anger, and finally, acceptance. The album was a massive success. I swept every major music award in the country. I played one sold-out stadium concert after another. I stood on the stage I had always dreamed of, looking out at a sea of waving lights, at the faces of thousands of people moved by my music. I had finally become the person I was always meant to be. But sometimes, in the middle of the night, I would still think of her. I'd remember the girl whose eyes crinkled when she smiled. The girl who took my hand and said she wanted to walk with me to the end of the world. And my heart would still ache. I knew I hadn't completely let her go. I needed a real goodbye. I went back to the house we used to share. Ava had never sold it. I used my old key to open the door. The inside was spotless. Everything was exactly as I'd left it. It was as if I had just been away on a long trip. I saw the torn divorce papers I had left behind. Ava had pieced them back together, meticulously, with tape. It was tucked under our wedding photo. In the picture, we were smiling so brightly. I sat on the couch for a long time, until the setting sun painted the sky in shades of red and orange. I took out my phone and dialed a number I thought I would never call again. It connected almost immediately. Hello. Her voice. Familiar, but with a new layer of weariness. It's me, I said. The line went silent. I could hear her uneven breathing. Is something wrong? She finally asked. Let's meet, I said. It's time we clear the air. 10. We met at a quiet coffee shop. She arrived wearing a simple white sundress, her long hair falling freely over her shoulders. Without the Hollywood glamour, she looked like a normal girl from next door, clean and fragile. She was much thinner, with dark hollows under her eyes and a pale, unhealthy complexion. She sat down across from me, nervously fidgeting with her hands. What can I get you? I asked. Just water is fine. I ordered 2 glasses of water from the waitress. We sat in silence. The atmosphere was thick with awkwardness. Finally, I broke it. How have you been? Okay, she said with a small, bitter smile. I got a normal job. 9 to 5. It's a quiet life. That's good. Another silence. I'm sorry, she said suddenly. She looked up at me, her eyes instantly welling with tears. Leo, I know it's too late to say this now, but I have to say it. I'm sorry. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I just want you to know that I regret it. I truly, truly regret it. She started to cry, tears rolling down her cheeks. I offered her a napkin. She didn't take it. Do you know, she looked at me, her voice choked with sobs. It wasn't until you were gone that I realized what I had lost. I lost the person who would stay up all night to write me a song. I lost the person who remembered everything I liked and would cook a feast for me. I lost the person who would always leave a light on for me, no matter how late I came home. I lost the only person in the world who truly loved me. I thought what I wanted was a career, fame, the adoration of millions. But when I finally stood at the top, I looked around and realized I was completely alone. I realized that all I ever really wanted was to be able to turn around and see you there. Leo, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Can you please give me one more chance? She stood up, walked around the table, and tried to take my hand. I pulled away. Ava, I said, my gaze steady and calm. It's too late. What's between us isn't a misunderstanding or distance. It's a life. My words were a bucket of ice water, drenching her from head to toe. Her face went deathly pale, and her whole body started to tremble. Don't say any more, I said, standing up. I came here today to get closure. I took a new set of divorce papers and a pen from my bag. I placed them on the table in front of her. Sign it, I said. From now on, we go our separate ways. She stared at the papers for a long, long time. Finally, with a trembling hand, she picked up the pen. Slowly, she wrote her name, Ava Thorne. After she signed, it was as if all the strength had been drained from her body. She collapsed back in her chair. I took the papers, and I walked away without a second glance. I knew, from that moment on, we were truly over. 11. Life after the divorce was quiet and full. I started my own music studio and signed a few talented new artists. Ben became my business partner. We were doing what we loved, making music on our own terms. Occasionally, I would see news about Ava. It seemed she had moved to a small town somewhere far away and opened a flower shop. A few photos of her surfaced online. In them, she was wearing a simple cotton dress, watering flowers, a faint smile on her face. She looked peaceful, content. I was genuinely happy for her. Maybe getting away from that world was the best thing for her. We had both found our new lives. I thought we would never see each other again. Until the day I got a call from a hospital in a small town in Oregon. The doctor said Ava was critically ill. Cancer. Terminal. I hung up the phone and sat in my studio for a long time. Ben asked if I was going to go see her. I shook my head. What was the point? We were strangers now. But that night, I had a dream. I dreamed of when we first met. I was busking in a subway station with my guitar. She was wearing a white dress, standing in the crowd, watching me quietly. When I finished, she walked up and put a $20 bill in my guitar case. She said, "You're really good. Can I buy you a coffee?" That was the first time I saw her. The sun was perfect that day. Her smile was brighter than the sun. I woke up to a damp pillow. The next morning, I booked the first flight I could to that small town. I found the hospital. At the door to her room, I saw her. She was lying in bed, hooked up to a tangle of tubes and machines. She was so thin, she was almost skeletal. Her beautiful, dark hair was gone. She was unconscious, her breathing shallow, as if she could disappear at any moment. I stood at the door, unable to go in. A nurse walked up to me. "Are you Mr. Collins?" I nodded. "Ms. Thorne has been waiting for you," she said. A few days ago, when she could still speak, she kept saying your name. She said she had something she needed to give you herself. The nurse handed me a small wooden box. I opened it. Inside was a small silver ring. Engraved on the inside was one word, 0. It was the first gift I ever gave her. A cheap $10 ring I bought from a street vendor. She wore it every day until we got married and replaced it with a wedding band. My eyes instantly blurred with tears. I pushed open the door and walked in. I went to her bedside and took her cold hand in mine. She seemed to sense me. Slowly, her eyes fluttered open. Her gaze was unfocused. She looked at me, her lips moving silently. "You came." "I'm here," I said, my voice thick. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "Next life. If there's a next life." "There's no next life, Ava." I cut her off, squeezing her hand. "We only get one." She looked stunned for a moment. Then, a faint smile touched her lips. A single, hot tear rolled down her cheek. "Yeah, no, next life." Her hand went limp in mine. She looked at me, her eyes full of regret and a deep, lingering love. Then, slowly, her eyes closed. The line on the heart monitor went flat. She was gone, taking all her regrets with her. 12. I handled Ava's funeral arrangements. Not many people came, just me and a few employees from her flower shop. I scattered her ashes in the river that ran beside the town. Dust to dust. All debts were settled. I returned to my city. Life went on. My career flourished. I became a titan in the music industry, a legend. Many wonderful women came in my life, but I remained single. Ben told me I needed to move on. He said Ava had paid for her mistakes, and I shouldn't keep punishing myself for them. I knew he was right, but I couldn't do it. It felt like a part of my heart had died with her. That night, I had another dream. I was back in that sun-drenched afternoon. Ava was standing under a trellis of blooming roses, wearing a white sundress, and she gave me that brilliant, radiant smile. Leo, I love you. I looked at her and I smiled back. Then I turned and walked, without hesitation, into the blinding light. I woke up. I sat in bed, watching the dawn break outside my window. I knew it was time to let go. Not to forgive her, but to forgive myself. I picked up my phone and dialed a number I hadn't called in a long time. Hey, it's me. Are you free tomorrow? I was wondering if I could buy you a cup of coffee.